Hey everybody, welcome to That's Cakeable. I'm Janine, and this week we're tackling a very common caker's problem. Does the thought of doing a sphere cake strike fear into your heart? Well, it doesn't have to anymore. This week I'm going to show you how I create my spheres. I decided to turn my sphere into a globe to represent the amazing streaming service that is happening right now over on the CakeFlix Facebook page. Paul and David from CakeFlix have put together a wide range of artists from all over the globe doing 45-minute demos over on CakeFlix every Saturday. There is something there for everybody, so if you are cake mad and you haven't popped over yet, make sure you pop over to CakeFlix on Facebook to check out all the amazing demos from all the amazing artists. And yeah, I'm there. Okay, no time like the present, it's time to tackle the sphere. Let's go. Now, I've seen people create sphere cakes in so many different ways, but like I said, I'm just going to show you how I do it. Probably the most important thing to know is that you've got to have a good structure. Now, I've just created a basic structure using an MDF board and a dowel through the center. If you want to see how I create this structure in more detail, just have a look at this video right here. To create the base of my sphere, which of course is the base hemisphere, I've taken a styrofoam ball that I have cut in half. And just using a little bit of chocolate, I've attached that to the base of the cake tin that I use to bake my top half of my sphere. Once that's set, I cover the entire thing in a layer of chocolate until it reaches the top of that tin. Now I'm using a 6-inch half sphere tin here, and the reason I do this is because not all spheres are created equal. For instance, my 6-inch half sphere tin and this 6-inch styrofoam ball were certainly not the same size. So doing this ensures that both are the same size. Once that chocolate is set, I then pop that out of the cake mold. Now we're ready to build. Now the first thing I need to do is to also drill a hole through that base half sphere. I'm a little bit extra and I do have one drill set for timber and one drill set for cake and edibles. Not that anybody's gonna eat foam anyway, but you know, safety first. I place a little bit of ganache on the base of the board around that center dowel, and I place that half sphere on top and secure it to the base of the board. I then add some ganache to the top of that half sphere, and I place my other half sphere, which is all cake, right on top. It's now time to go around and give this guy a crumb coat. Don't worry about this being beautiful, it doesn't matter, we only need to hold those crumbs in. I use a combination of my angled spatula and an acetate smoother so I can get around all those curves. Okay, once you've got your crumb coat on and that's had some time to chill, it's time to bring the cake back and give it a good ganache coat. I've piled my ganache on pretty thickly and I've done it section by section because my cake is so cold, it's setting up really quickly. If your cake's not as cold, of course you can add more ganache at one time than I did. You then want to take your flexi smoother and start smoothing that ganache all around the cake, trying to keep the integrity of the sphere. Now it's not always perfect, so don't freak out and know when to stop. I am yet to see a cake artist get the absolute perfect sphere. If you've seen it, let me know. Like I said, use your flexi smoother. Don't be scared to use your hands if you need to get a good feel for the sphere. And another trick I find really good is actually getting up on a stool and looking at the sphere from above. It gives you a better idea of where you're going right and where you're going wrong. The other thing you really need to do to keep the integrity of the spherical shape is get right underneath the sphere and scrape that ganache away from there. Also, don't forget to get down on eye level to make sure that everything's looking spherical. Once you're happy with the sphere, pop that aside to chill, and then we'll move on to the next part. Now, to make all of our continents and countries, what I've done is I've printed out a super basic world map. I've rolled out a piece of modelling paste really thinly, and the reason I've chosen modelling paste is because we'll be putting this aside for a little bit later and I don't want it to dry out too much. Once I've cut all the shapes, it's time for the fun. I'm just taking my airbrush and I'm just giving all of those countries and continents a good hit of colour. Once you've got all of those done, set them aside and let's cover our sphere. Now, covering a sphere is never ever easy. The key to covering a sphere, I find, is just patience and persistence. The other thing you want to make sure you've done is rolled out plenty of fondant. It's better to have a little bit more than not quite enough. This will help you to avoid getting pleats around the base of your sphere. Just like with any other cake, I'm now going to cover this in some vegetable shortening. Pick up that fondant and start smoothing it over, not worrying too much about getting the bottom just yet. Now when you're getting around the base, you want to make sure that you're lifting the fondant and pushing it, lifting it and pushing it, avoiding all of those pleats. Once you get to the bottom, cut off most of the excess, leaving just a little bit that we're going to use to tuck underneath the globe. Go ahead and use your flexi scraper and do just that, tuck it right underneath. Smooth it all out and remove any air bubbles, and there you have it. Your sphere is covered. Okay, now it's time to put our countries and continents onto the globe. Now you will notice as I'm doing this, I am not being geographically correct. The cake itself is very cartoony, so I wasn't crazy worried about the continents and countries being in the exact right spots. I've just gone ahead and attached them all with some vegetable shortening. Attaching them with vegetable shortening allows me to move them around a bit also if I need to. Once they're all done, even with the patch on the back, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Now I wanted to add the cloud effect to the globe also, so what I've done is taken some white gel color and just dipped a clean sponge into the white gel color and sponged that into the areas that I wanted it to go. With the other end of the sponge, I just gave it a bit of a dry brush effect and muted the color and shape just a little bit. All right, now let's give the board a treatment. One of the easiest board treatments to do, I find, is coconut grass. So what I did was just put some desiccated coconut in the bag, colored it with some gel food color, and then I put some ganache over the board and put the coconut on top of the ganache. Now you'll notice that I put a little mound of white modeling chocolate on one side of that board. That's because I've got a little figurine going on there, so I need something for him to stand on. And there we go, the board's done, easy and effective. I went ahead and added my little figurines, one to the side, which is David, and one to the top, which is Paul. I finished it all up by printing out the Caking All Over the World logo on some edible paper with my edible printer and popping that on the front of the cake also with some vegetable shortening. And that was it, my globe Caking All Over the World cake was complete. Well guys, that wraps up another week. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that I have made the sphere a little less intimidating for you. Once again, don't forget to pop on over to the Cake Flicks Facebook page for the Caking All Over the World live demos that happen every Saturday during this isolation period. All the demos that have already been done are also available to watch on the Cake Flicks website. Well guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video, that you're all staying safe and well. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you're informed every time I upload a new video. And now I think it's time for you to go and get your cake on. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.